Hi everyone, so I'm not sure if everyone has seen the video I made previously to this one, but I made a video called Sketchbooks, How Do You Use Them? And I basically just asked for people's opinions about sketchbooks, what kind of sketchbooks they prefer to use, how they use their sketchbooks, and what they put in their sketchbooks. And I said that I would make another video talking about everyone's responses for how they use their sketchbooks, and a lot of people told me their opinions, and thank you so much if you commented. I found a lot of your comments, all of your comments, really interesting to read, just to hear everyone's. It's very true that everyone uses a sketchbook differently, and I got some ideas from them on how I should start implementing some things in the way I use my sketchbooks, and it was just really interesting to read. So I've selected a few comments that I'm going to talk about. I wish I could talk about all of them, but this video would be really long and it was really hard to choose which ones, but a lot of comments kind of said similar things, so I just chose one that kind of combined many different ideas, I guess. And also, some of these are really long, so I'm just going to be taking like sections from them that I want to highlight, or I might do the whole comment. So, this first comment is by Stephanie Hicks, and they said, I love spiral bound, and it takes me forever to fill one. I think I have 23 sketchbooks going. I use them for everything, drawing to writing ideas to painting. So I thought this was really interesting that they had 23 sketchbooks going total. Usually I have 2 or 3 going, and I wish I could just keep it to 1, but 23, that's a lot of sketchbooks. I do have a lot that are technically like half full, but I don't know if I plan on finishing them because they're from many years ago. And they also said that they draw on them, they write their ideas, and they paint, which I think writing is a really good way to fill a sketchbook too, just to plan out your ideas or your thoughts or use it as a sort of journal. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So this comment is written by Montana Hall, and I picked this comment just for the first little bit of it. So they said, I also like the spiral sketchbooks because you can easily rip pages out of them. I also sometimes don't fill all my sketchbooks, and I'm addicted to buying them. And that's definitely, I can relate to that comment because even though I have a half full sketchbook, I have 2 half full sketchbooks and 1 empty sketchbook right now, and a few other half full old ones that I've already mentioned. But every time I go to an art store, I stop in the sketchbook aisle and I want to buy one. I don't know why. It's like an addiction, like this person said, but I have been forcing myself over the past month and the past few weeks to not buy another one until I finish the ones that I have. But it is some kind of addiction, which is kind of weird in a way. Like, why would I want to buy something new when I already have a perfectly good one that I still need to use up? But for some reason I want to buy more. This comment is by Wonderfool. As a student of animation, I have been specifically told by my life drawing to sketch in public. It was a bit awkward at first, but I got used to it quickly. I find using a small A5 or smaller sketchbook helps me get over some people trying to peek at my drawings, as it's not something that attracts a lot of attention. I really recommend drawing in public and drawing people around you. It really helps, especially when you have to challenge yourself to work fast. You never know when a person might change their pose. Don't be too obvious about drawing someone though. Most people could look at you weird if they catch you. My sketchbook is usually small enough to carry around, cheap because I have started to fill them up quicker with doing quick gestural sketches and some people and animals. Hope that helps. That was a very helpful comment because you mentioned a lot of really good points about sketching and how to improve, which is drawing from life. And drawing from life is one of the best ways to improve your people drawing, just your observational drawing. You just can become a better artist by doing this. And I really liked the tip about bringing a small sketchbook out with you because that way it doesn't attract a lot of attention. And it can be a good way to start sketching in public because people might not really know that you're drawing, but if they see that you're drawing, they can't see what you're drawing because the sketchbook is so small. So I think that's a lot of really good points in that comment. This comment is by Mystic. I do not know how to say your name, but I'll put it on the screen. I don't want to butcher it. It says, I used to sketch in my home. I go for a walk and bring my camera, so when I see a good composition, I take a picture. And when I'm back in my home, I start to sketch. Sometimes I mix the pictures. Sometimes I sketch a special situation. Keep on. I love your work. Thank you. I like this comment because I do this sometimes as well. So I'll be out and about somewhere walking and I'll see like a nice composition or like a nice scene, but I don't have a sketchbook with me or I don't feel like taking out my sketchbook if I have it. I'll just take a picture of it with my phone or camera or whatever I have with me. And when I get home, I'll draw it or I'll just keep it in my like folders for so I can look back on if I ever need to draw some kind of landscape. I like to take a lot of pictures of landscapes when I'm outside, just in case I ever want to draw them. And I know it is better to draw them when you're actually there looking at them. It's easier, it's better for your observational drawing. But I just don't always have my sketchbook with me, and I don't really like to bring it out in public right now. This comment is by Claudia Sketches. So there's just a certain part of this comment that I want to highlight, and it says, I have two sketchbooks. One is a cleaner one, the other a rougher one for quick sketches or studies. Video planning and experimenting way out of my comfort zone. So that is a very, very interesting idea, because I kind of do that too, but not really, like having a clean sketchbook and then a messy sketchbook. So maybe one sketchbook that you put your best work in, or you try to make more finished drawings in that one, and then a rough sketchbook for whatever you want, practicing drawing whatever you want, and also going way out of your comfort zone is a really good thing to do, especially in a sketchbook, because usually sketchbooks have cheaper paper and they're just made for drawing things, just for drawing a lot and for practicing and experimenting. So that was a very interesting comment too. This comment is by Zorak, hopefully I'm saying that right, and they said, I draw on my computer. And I thought that was really interesting because I am also a digital artist, but I don't really sketch digitally, because I usually will sketch traditionally, or I'll like kind of think of an idea in my head and start and go from the sketch to the finished product digitally, but I won't open up my my Cintiq and just start sketching. Like, that's not really something that I do. So for those of you who do sketch on the computer, how do you organize your sketches? Do you like keep a folder called sketches and put them all in there, or do you have one file and have multiple layers with different sketches? If you're a digital artist, how do you organize your sketches? I thought that was a really interesting comment. This comment is by Belldream, and I saw a lot of people mentioning this kind of idea in their comments, so I'm just going to highlight a few sentences here. Well, I always liked the idea of sketchbooks, but I get bored of them pretty easily. When I ruin a page, I get tired of the sketchbook because I feel like the sketchbook isn't special anymore. I'm trying to fight that. So a lot of people said things like this, that they used to or currently are afraid of ruining their sketchbooks, so they don't want to get a nice sketchbook because they're afraid they're going to mess up and ruin it. And I thought that was a pretty interesting idea, because that can be something that holds me back from sketching, because I think, oh, I want to draw something, but what if it like goes horribly wrong? I don't know what to draw. Like, what if it doesn't turn out right? But that's why I think it's really important to have a sketchbook that you put whatever you want in it. It doesn't have to be good. Just use it for practicing, use it for drawing when you don't know what to draw. Just keep a rough sketchbook, I think, is a really good idea. You just put whatever you want in it. Don't worry about how it looks. You might end up really liking it in the end, seeing all your random collage of thoughts and ideas, of some good, some bad. I think that's a really good thing to keep, though, a rough sketchbook. This next comment is by Van Nugget, and she said, I personally prefer non-spiral sketchbooks because I really like the book look, and the pages often fold over each other in the spiral, which annoys me a lot. I use my sketchbook to draw any ideas I have and anything, whatever I feel like at the moment. Maybe journaling, I tape in tickets, testing new art tools, sketching thumbnails. I recently been drawing on both sides of the pages to save space and for the challenge. So I kind of relate to a particular point in this comment when they said, I really like the book look. And that's kind of the reason why I use a moleskine and a spiral sketchbook, spiral bound one, because I like the way moleskine sketchbooks look. I probably won't get another one in the future, though. I find the pages are too thin for my needs, but I like how it's a hardcover. It seems like the pages are protected really well. That's one reason why I would choose that kind of sketchbook over the spiral bound, but I do prefer the spiral sketchbooks because you can tear out the pages, and that's something that I do a lot and something that I need to do a lot when I'm transferring my sketches onto better paper. But if it is in a book where I can't tear it out, I'll just scan it, and then I'll bring it in and print it, or I'll just make a photocopy of it or something so that I can have a separate copy of it to transfer to another sketchbook. This comment was written by Doodle Doctor. I usually use my sketchbook at home in class. Usually they're used to jot down or sketch ideas. I'm a bit of a mess when it comes to it. I'll sketch on whatever sketchbook is close by, and I'll open up to a random page. I'll use the back, front, up, and upside down sometimes. So this was an interesting comment because a lot of people in the comments were saying how they like to keep their sketchbooks really nice and they like to put their best work, and they like to make sure they fill the whole thing and more of like a controlling kind of manner. But this is another way of keeping a sketchbook where it's just there for you to use it whenever you want, however you want. You flip it open, draw whatever you want in it, jot down an idea you have. You don't worry about making sure you get every single page. Like, you flip open to a random page, doesn't matter if it's upside down or right side up, which I thought was really funny and interesting too. Because I sometimes do this with like notebooks. I kind of treat notebooks like that. I don't really keep journals, but I want to write a list. I'll whip out a notebook, flip to a random page, write it down. So I thought that was really cool, that comment. It's kind of like, there's like two groups of people almost, and then there's some people who use both kinds of sketchbooks. So people who keep them clean, who keep them messy, or have one for both, or maybe have an in-between one sketchbook for both. This next comment is by Kit Kat Creates. My sketchbook is a mix between finished drawings and really rough sketches, and I like all paper, just about. And yep, I sketch 24/7, I sketch in public and at home. I go through a big 60 sketchbook in a month or less, and I only draw one side of the page most of the time. And I'll tear some of my sketches out to use or something. I'll just keep them in a folder. So this was a very interesting comment because it's something that I aspired to do, and they said that they go through a big sketchbook in a month or less, and that is, I've heard, like a really good way to improve your skills and to improve your workflow and your productivity and everything, is to just try to fill a sketchbook a month. Even if it's a small sketchbook, just make sure you're sketching something every day and always making progress. I think that is a really good thing to keep in mind if you want to improve your art skills, and that's definitely something that I want to do in the future. So this comment I thought was really, really interesting. I might end up reading the whole thing because that's how interesting I found it. It's kind of like a perspective between when they used to draw and when they were younger, and then 10 years later, and they use sketchbooks completely differently between those years. So it's by Astral _ I think I'm not sure that that's how you say it, but I tried. So they said, I'm just getting back into drawing and making art after about 10 years, so my answers are totally different based on my age now. I used to take my sketchbook with me to school and draw when I had free time in class, but I hated people looking over my shoulder all the time, so I'd usually wait until study hall, then finish up the drawing once I got home. At the time, I didn't have a lot of art supplies beyond a mechanical pencil and a ballpoint pen, so I put a lot of effort into one piece on the page. And then they said, but now I cram, so this is 10 years later, I cram a bunch of sketches on a page and use both sides. I've got some pages that are nothing but test swatches from colored pens or markers, and there's a lot more mixed media because I can afford supplies now that I'm an adult. But because of the huge gap, my drawing skills are really rusty. It was incredibly frustrating at first to not be able to do finished pieces like I used to, so I had to change my approach to drawing, and now the whole book is just experimenting and studying. If I manage to do something that I would consider finished, then I just leave enough space around it to crop out later if I decide to scan it, and to continue using the rest of the page. So this comment I found really, really interesting to read. It was almost like I was reading kind of like a story, if you know what I mean, like, because it's like how it used to be and how it is now. And it definitely seems like as you get older, you start to, as you grow as an artist and as a person, you start to care less about what people think, or at least you might become more comfortable drawing in public and just drawing in general, and you start to find methods of drawing that work better for you. So this is one of my favorite comments that someone left. I just found it really, really interesting to read. I feel like I say all of these are interesting, but I really do mean that they are interesting. So that was the last comment of all of these. I really didn't want this video to be too long, so I just chose a couple, but I hope to do another video like this sometime with another topic. So if you have any ideas on a topic I could bring up, like the sketchbook video that I did before, and this video, which is a response to that video, then please tell me any of your ideas in the comments. I would love to hear them, and feel free to leave your opinions about sketchbooks too. I'll read them, reply to some of them too. I try to reply to everything, but sometimes I can't get around to every single comment because it takes a long time. But I read everyone's comments always, no matter what. I read every comment. So thanks for watching this, and I'll see you in my next video.